Hello, my name is Edward Brown of the Courage Image and Charisma Institute. Today I want to talk about the 2012 presidential second debate between President Obama and Governor Romney. Without getting into the things you've heard if you watch CNN or Fox News, those things that people have talked about already, I don't want to get into all those particulars because it's not new information for you or valuable information moving forward if you heard it already. So I want to get into two things I think will make you a more effective speaker, taken from some of the things that happened that night. First and foremost, whether we want to embrace this reality or not, we're still talking about a president who has historical significance. The first African-American president, the first one since probably Bill Clinton, or even going farther back than that, John F. Kennedy, who talked about hope and about inspiration, how bringing people together was the way of raising the economy, but also becoming a new brand on the world stage when it came to what it is to be an American. And so if you know that's the backdrop, a good speaker goes in and addresses that and talks about why that's important, but also why that actually can be an impediment. For example, if I'm Romney and I say that I realize that President Obama is historical, I realize that he has a great way of speaking, he has a great way of engaging you. You do feel hopeful. But in the last 4 years, hope has not gotten us where we want to go. And if you believe that hope is a strategy or hope is going to save you, then let's look at the last 4 years. Look at the fact that hope is inspirational, but it's not executional. And so I like the guy. I think he's a great person. And I think that I was secretly behind him to win. But he didn't get it done. And that's why I believe I can get it done. When you talk from that vantage point, you actually start talking in terms of walking into people's minds and hearts and saying, let me have a seat. Let me talk about the things that you are concerned about, but don't actually go in there and lambaste them to the point where you knock that part of that reality out, because people are still feeling that, and you have to address that, particularly people on the fence. The people who are Obama supporters, they're not going to change, just like Romney supporters won't change, but the people who are on the fence still looking for that little edge, if you can talk to their minds and hearts, you can be successful. Secondly, when you're addressing a person, the best way to persuade an audience about that person is really to tell the whole picture, show the whole picture. No one's all good and no one is all bad. The fact that Romney kept pounding and pounding and pounding negativity, anytime it was an opportunity for him to explain his policy or explain what he could do better, doesn't suggest that you are authentic. And I guess that's the best term I can use, authentic, because if I was to tell someone about someone I knew, and they said, what do you think about Joe Smith? And I said, why are you asking? Well, Joe is up for a job. I know him. You and I have known each other for 25 years. Don't want to hire somebody who's not going to actually get the job done or be valuable to our corporate environment. At that point, when somebody lays out like that, and you know the person, and you know both parties, you have a responsibility to emotionally and intellectually say, well, I think Joe is a good guy. I think he's good for your company. Matter of fact, I think he can raise the productivity and profitability of your company. But one of the things I know about Joe is that if you don't give him something to do that he can lead, because he is that kind of guy who's an alpha male and he wants to be in charge, if you don't give him something to do and make sure it's really challenging, it's going to be problematic for him, because he actually thrives on success, thrives on performance, and thrives on pushing the envelope. So be mindful that if you take him on, he's going to be his own mini boss. And that's not a bad thing as it relates to getting the job done, but it can be a negative downside if, in fact, you want someone who's going to be malleable, always changeable to the environment or changeable to things you need on a dime. So be very careful of that. When you go into that reality of here's a good part, here's a bad part, you actually create the balance and people believe you. Because if you go all the way good, oh, he's the greatest thing, you'll be a fool not to hire him. Or you say, nah, I had him on a project a couple years ago, he bombed it, and I talked to somebody recently, he bombed that. No one's all good and all bad, so when you frame a reference to an individual, make sure you frame it in a balanced form of saying the good and the bad. And so that the objective appeal is more sexy, more attractive, more persuasive than the one side or the other. If you want more information how to be more charismatic in your persuasive speaking and or your charismatic leadership skills, there's a website link below that you can tap into, look at it, determine if that's valuable for you moving forward to be the speaker that you want and be the leader that you want to become.